I, 31M, and my wife, 28F, had a baby last December. The birth was traumatic, and my wife developed postpartum depression. She had originally planned to return to work, but her mental health struggles made that unrealistic, so we decided to wait until our daughter turned 1 and then reassess. She's been attending therapy weekly. With her home full-time, I had to increase my work hours, something we discussed and agreed on beforehand. A few weeks later, my manager offered me a project that required a lot of overtime in a short period. It was a great opportunity financially and professionally. I talked it through with my wife, and she encouraged me to take it. During those 4 weeks, her mother and her close friend Laura, 28F, name changed, agreed to help with some of the responsibilities I normally handle. Laura is a stay-at-home mom with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. She started coming over during the day to help out, while my wife cared for our daughter. About 3 weeks into the project, it became clear the timeline would need to be extended. I talked to my wife about it, and she said she was fine with it, though she became noticeably distant afterward. Given everything she'd been dealing with emotionally, I didn't read too much into it. During the final week, I came home one evening and noticed Laura was still there. I greeted them briefly and went to check on our daughter. Before I reached the nursery, I overheard Laura say something like, "He didn't even stop to talk to you. That's definitely a sign." I turned around and asked what she meant. My wife immediately started crying, and Laura accused me of having an affair. She claimed I must resent my wife because of her postpartum depression or because she'd gained weight after pregnancy, neither of which is true. I've been doing everything I can to support her, and I still find her beautiful. She just hasn't wanted intimacy, and I've respected that. Laura demanded to see my phone. I refused. She said that was proof I was guilty. I told my wife she could look if she wanted to. When she agreed, something inside me cracked. Realizing she actually believed I might be cheating hurt more than I expected. She found nothing. Laura then accused me of deleting evidence and started yelling, waking our daughter. At that point, I told her to leave. After she did, I focused on calming the baby while my wife stayed on the couch, crying. Once things settled, I tried to talk to my wife. She admitted she'd been anxious since my overtime increased. I reminded her that we discussed it and that she supported my decision. She said extending the project seemed suspicious. I explained that delays happen. I showed her work emails, messages, timestamps, and pay stubs proving the overtime. She apologized and said Laura had convinced her these were signs of infidelity. When I asked why she trusted Laura over me or didn't talk to me sooner, she didn't have an answer. The project ended a couple of weeks later. I scaled back my hours to spend more time at home, but I felt exhausted and resentful. I couldn't shake the feeling that my wife didn't fully trust me. I worried about future work demands, travel, errands, even late days, and whether they'd always trigger accusations. When I tried to talk about it, my wife said she wasn't emotionally ready. I tried to be patient, but I started wondering if there was ever room for my feelings. I didn't know how to move forward and asked for advice. Update: August 27th, 21. After reading responses, I realized I needed therapy too. I told my wife I planned to see a therapist, framing it as support for my own stress. She was indifferent. The next day, I came home to our bedroom and home office destroyed. Papers everywhere. My wife was gone. Our daughter was alone in her room, crying. Her phone was off. I contacted family and friends. No one had seen her. I called my mother to help while I searched. Before she arrived, my wife returned, driven by Laura. My wife was distraught and accused me of cheating, claiming therapy was a cover. When I tried to calm her, she struck me and broke my nose. I locked myself in our daughter's room and called for help. My mother arrived and we left. My wife didn't react. I went to urgent care, bleeding heavily. My daughter and I stayed with my parents. My wife stayed with hers. I began pursuing a restraining order against Laura. My wife and I separated. I love her, but I won't risk my daughter's safety. Inpatient treatment was discussed, and I documented everything for legal reasons. Final update: January 9th, 21. My wife passed away early Monday morning. After being convinced I was unfaithful, she suffered a mental breakdown. While staying with her parents and awaiting hospital admission, she came to my parents' home demanding our daughter. I refused due to safety concerns, but offered supervised visitation. She left. Hours later, she crashed her parents' car and died. Laura later told me she planned to speak at the funeral. I refused. My in-laws insist she speak. I'm torn between maintaining peace and protecting myself emotionally. I don't trust my judgment right now. I'm grieving, exhausted, and terrified of making the wrong choice. Thank you for listening.